From the top of the snowy mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. It's always a good night when you can't pronounce your last name. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, doing a little shopping at the SOR Vault, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Tonight, we are going to get really deep into ET contact as one of my good friends and mentors is back on the show to talk about her story. Now, if you haven't heard of Samantha Mowat, you need to. She is a Canadian experiencer who has literally lived through contact from off-world all her life. It's something Samantha never wanted or asked for, but it's the life she's been given. She's been taken hundreds of times. She has experienced the hybridization program, MK Ultra, MyLabs, and everything that goes along with it. And tonight, she's here to explain her experiences with you. Her website, SamanthaMowat.ca, not .com, .ca. So make sure you check her on out. Then in the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Samantha Mowat, my good friend, my mentor, how are you?
Hi, Dave. I'm very entertained. I find it mostly entertaining because it's so fun people watching and seeing how everyone's reacting to all the world events that are going on right now, looking how their auras are so different now than they were a month and a half ago. So I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. How's your toilet paper situation right now? Are you okay with that?
I'm great. We ran out like a few days ago, went to Costco, lucked out and got like a 30-pack, and yeah, we should be good for this entire event.
Yeah, my town is empty. My town is empty right now, but that's okay. I'll go rob the gas station if I have to. You know,
I can always send some
not
down.
The people, not the people, not the people. I don't want to rob the gas station per se. I'm just going to rob the bathroom area and get some of that icky one ply if I have to. So that's what I'm doing. You know what? I'm going to start off with a little bit of good news here.
Please
some
do.
Very, very good news. And as of today, we have, as Spaced Out Radio, got our first Canadian affiliate. Yes, we, as of April 6th, will be broadcasting live in Mississauga, Ontario, at Saga 960. So you can check them on out. Make sure you follow them on Twitter. I know we have a lot of Ontario followers, especially in the Metro Toronto area, where Saga 960 is located. And we're very excited, very, very excited to make sure that we are getting some Canadian content. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Very excited to make that announcement as we continue to grow our brand and our show right across North America. It's fantastic. I got a station out of Vermont who wants to pick us up on once a week. Hey, once a week is better than none a week. So it's moving in the right direction. We are trending in the right direction, and I want to thank all of our fans, our supporters, especially Chuck down at who's our syndication director, and I know Chuck is probably listening right now while drinking his favorite peach schnapps, so it's all good. It's very good, so thank you so much for all our fans, and you as well, Samantha, because I lean on you quite a bit.
Well, just don't topple me over. We'll be good to go. But that's incredible. Congratulations. How exciting is that?
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. I was so excited I took a nap today.
You earned it.
Well, you know what, though? It's because this is stressful. What we are doing is stressful. And, people only see the first, the 3 hours of the show. They don't see all the work that goes in throughout the day and after the show to make this happen. So, it was like all of a sudden this big burden just kind of left my shoulders. And I'm very proud of it. Very proud. But enough about us. Let's get to you, my friend, because there are a lot of people out there. Every time you come on, we have new listeners who may not know your story. You are someone who has been an ET contactee your entire life. It's something you were born into. It's something that it continues to this day. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your life. What's it like to live that way, Samantha?
Well, Dave, I was born to a bloodline family, so a family that has contact for multiple generations, and it occurs on both sides of my family. So for me, growing up with contact, it is something that is a little more normalized. I was that type of little girl who, when I was little, my parents bought me a whole bunch of metaphysical books, everything from astral projection to UFOs to Wicca and witchcraft, to give me a better idea of understanding what I was going through. And because it was more normalized within my family, I kind of grew up with the perspective of it's not a dirty little secret. For a lot of people who go through contact, they feel very isolated, very alone in the world. Whereas for me, if I'm having a bad experience, I can call my mom or call my dad or call my sister and be like, hey, I just had a really bad experience last night. And they will compassionately listen to what I've gone through. And if they've had something similar, they will talk with me about that. If not, they will just be a good support system. And so because I have that strong connection with my family and have that support system in place, for me, I've always felt more comfortable talking to people about the experiences I've had, because I feel this is something that needs to be better shared within the world. It's occurring in every race, every culture, every income bracket is having contact. It really is a global phenomenon, and it seems to be becoming more and more common. And so with me being someone who has contact, I've had the pleasure of meeting so many different types of species. When people think of extraterrestrials and multi-dimensionals, typically it's just the ETs that get the sensationalization of all this. So we hear that people are just ET contactees, not realizing that many of the beings we consider to be extraterrestrial are actually extra-dimensional or multi-dimensional, yet are classified as ETs. So one thing that I have found is with my contact, it has evolved and changed over the years. When I was quite small, the majority of my contact even in my early 20s was predominantly physical in nature, and into my mid-20s went to both physical and astral, being kind of hand in hand for both, which has made it easier. However, when we talk about astral contact and the difference between an astral contact versus a physical contact is when you have a being either opening up a vortex or coming in through an orb or a craft over your house, picking you up and taking you somewhere. An astral contact would be when your soul leaves your body and these beings connect with your soul and still take you up onto craft to go deal with them, but your physical body stays in bed. So it kind of goes in a couple different ways. I've met everything from reptilians to Pleiadians to crystal beings to light beings to mushroom beings to all sorts of varieties of gray to even humanoids of different skin color. It really depends upon what my vibration or aura is doing as to who it is I'm most likely to connect with. I have found that when my vibration is in more of a frequency that's a little denser, it tends to gravitate towards certain races. If I'm in a point where, let's say, I'm going through a lot of negative contact to do with my MyLab experiences or stuff to do with MK Ultra, then I find my vibration goes quite low. My aura wraps around my body. It goes quite dense. It makes it harder to read people psychically, and I have a hard time connecting to the higher vibrational beings such as the angels, the light beings, the spirit guides, because my vibration is no longer compatible and able to access them as easily. Instead, I tend to only be able to connect with the beings that are within a certain vibrational range that is much closer to this more dense vibration. Do you understand?
I do.
Good.
You know, but then again, I'm used to you. I'm used to what you say. But anyways, for our audience here and going through this, I mean, for a lot of people, it's tough to understand. It's tough to take because you have grown up around this. This is normal for you, whereas for most people out there, they can't understand anything that what you're talking about because they've either never had an experience themselves or they just have had something different happen. So with you and this being very normal part of your everyday life, do you feel a little ripped off that you haven't been able to have that quote unquote normal life that majority of people on this planet do?
Some days, yes. Unfortunately, I do go through periods of time where I look at my contact and I get frustrated with it because it can make things like being in a relationship very, very hard. There have been points where it has nearly destroyed my marriage, or points where it has made it very difficult to connect to some of my best friends who don't go through contact because they'll look at me and they'll be like, I'm sorry, I love you. I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't understand what it is you're trying to say to me because they just don't have that experience going on. They can understand the angelic stuff and the spirit guide stuff, but when I start going to the contact aspect of the different multidimensionals, that's where you tend to lose some people. And so when I go through periods like that, I can be very frustrated being a contactee, although I do realize my soul has agreed to this before I was incarnated. And it has been a blessing for me overall. So I am actually quite grateful for it. I'd say 95% of the time.
Samantha, why do you think that this happened to you? Have you ever been able to ask why you? Because I think for a lot of contactees, myself included, that is something that is very, very, it's a very large question for us.
Well, for me, Dave, I know that my soul is not from the earth. I know that my soul has lived elsewhere in the universe, in all sorts of different places. And because of that, that's part of the reason why I connect to a bunch of different types of beings, is I have soul contracts in place with them to be of assistance while I am down here. Contracts that were made before I was born, as well as contracts that have been made since I was born. And so for me, that is why my contact occurs. For some of the other people who are going through contact, they may not remember having a soul contract in place. You could be someone who, for instance, let's say your soul is of the Greys. And let's say that you choose to come down to planet Earth to be of assistance, and you're a Grey who's like, we can only abduct a certain amount of people, and these ones are already being checked out, but we don't really know much about this other group of people. How about you, Dave, incarnate into that human body, and we'll abduct you from the time that you're born all the way through your life until you die, and we'll monitor everything from the pollutant levels to the stress to seeing what's going on in your eyes to, and you're going to help share with humanity some of this knowledge through this wonderful radio station. So there are a lot of soul contracts in place that we don't necessarily remember. And sometimes the different ET groups don't necessarily want for you to remember your soul contracts, because if you do, then you are at a better position to cancel them or remove them if they are feeling as though they're too much. And it's not because these beings are trying to be deceptive towards us necessarily, or that they're trying to be self-serving. It's just you made an agreement to do something before you came here. And so because you've agreed to do it, they would prefer you do it.
Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking about her ET life. Samantha, when did you start first noticing that you were having little friends or big friends that didn't look like you come around?
Kindergarten. Maybe preschool. I was that interesting little girl who would, I kid you not, be laying in my bed. My sister and I, she's a little bit younger than me. We were sharing a room when we lived in Nova Scotia, and we had this really cool glow-in-the-dark, Little Mermaid poster glowing on the wall because it was nighttime. My mom had shut off our bedtime light, and I remember looking in the room to see one night where this poster was, going, oh, I don't see it lit up, because I woke up and I was wide awake. And a moment later, I felt something compelling me to look outside. I put my hands on the glass because my bed was right under the window. And a moment later, I'm going through the window and looking at the side of the PMQ, or paramilitary quarters, that we lived in. And there to my left was a gray being crouched like a frog against the side of the building. So if you think about how a frog sits, or in a rest position, how its legs are kind of bent up in like that triangle type formation. And he was there sideways on the wall, looking at me. And so for me, I have a lot of memories of stuff like that when I was little, of going through windows or going through the roof and seeing these beings with funny eyes. But when I was little, they didn't make me feel afraid. I recognized them, and I'd come to think of them as friends. And as I got older and went from like preschool age going to kindergarten age, I would often see my twin brother Danny, who made the choice not to incarnate. He died in utero, and he was always appearing as a boy that looked very similar to me, with like red hair and like these ruddy brown eyes, and he was always about the same age as me. And when I was little, I didn't think anything of it, because his eyes would go between these reddy brown color to being like large and black, like how the Greys have them, like those eye shields. And when I was little, I didn't think a whole lot of it. I thought, oh, he's just a funny looking little friend. But I mean, kids are so non-judgmental that if someone's like, oh, it's just your invisible friend, you're like, well, I can see them. How come you can't see them? And when I started to think back on my childhood and all these really wonderful experiences I had, it made me realize, even at a very young age, like grade 3, grade 4, that I was not necessarily like most humans. One of my earliest memories, Dave, is standing in a field when we lived in Nova Scotia in the middle of the daytime, and I was wearing this really cute little dress, and I remember it being warm and sunny, and there were flowers, and it was quite lovely, and there was a crystalline being who was wearing a blue suit, and he had this really interesting appearance to him. The reason I say he's crystalline is right hovering at his forehead was almost like a circlet, like of made of energy. So think of like it's almost like a crown, and there was a little lotus that was crystalline, that was completely sparkling and translucent, hovering right above his third eye, and there was a second being standing behind him, and he was talking to me, expressing how much he loved me and how he needed for me to stay here on the earth, and even though I was sad and not happy to be there, how they would be of assistance to me and make sure that I had everything I needed to complete what I had agreed to do. And so when you have memories coming forward about stuff like this from a very young age, and these are the memories for me that are much stronger than, say, birthday parties or going to McDonald's or any of those other things that kids so often cherish, these are the things that stick out in my mind as what was significant to me even at that time. And so me growing up with these beings is completely normalized. Whereas some of the other stuff, like when I was little, I think I was in maybe grade 1 when I stopped enjoying having birthday parties, so I didn't have any after that because I couldn't be bothered. I'd rather stay home and read my books. I was a little bit of a different child because of my star family upbringing. And even the things that I valued, I was never that little girl that dreamt about having my wedding. I dreamt about this property where I would see these beings and connect to all these wonderful creatures, because that was what my soul told me I had to do. And this was because of their influence.
Did you feel that you had a proper childhood?
Not a conventional one, no. So I do my best to give my children more of an established, normal childhood despite contact. But I know that when it comes to my childhood, it was unconventional in almost every way. And I'm accepting of that because that is what my soul needed in order to do what I've agreed to do. If I had a conventional childhood, I probably would not be as comfortable talking about the extraterrestrials, the multi-dimensionals, and psychic abilities, as well as the correlation between our psychic gifts and the connection to these beings. Chances are, if I lived in just one location and stayed in one town, knowing the same people from the time I was in kindergarten through college, I would probably be more concerned about what people think of me than, say, someone who's lived in 20 or 30 different places.
So with that, as we got about 5 minutes to go before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight. With the experiences that you had, have you been able to have any control over what has happened?
To an extent, yes, I have. In some situations with a few of the beings I deal with, they haven't necessarily always had my best interest at heart. Whereas with some of the others, if I tell them that I don't want to do something or I'm uncomfortable with something, they will explain to me why this is necessary. For instance, earlier in the year, I think it was like September of last year or so, I had these beings pass me a drink, and they told me that I needed to drink it because it was going to help to up my immune system, and it was also going to help me in reference to hybridization. It was going to help to take some of the toxins that were in my body and help me to remove them better, making me healthier as well as allowing me to have healthy hybrids. Yet when this encounter first started, I was saying, no, I don't want to drink that. And so they explained to me why it was necessary, and then after they explained it, I was like, oh, okay, I will happily drink that. So quite often, yes, some things can be out of your control, like if a being assaults you, or if you get abducted by groups that may not necessarily think that you're worth communicating with, yet want something from you, then that isn't necessarily always in my control, but they always put me back. The majority of the time I come home completely scathed by the experience, so I'm totally fine. Sometimes it can be a little emotionally upsetting, but quite often it's if I misinterpret what's going on, or if I allow myself to go into a place of fear because I don't understand or remember what happened. So when that happens, I do
Yeah.
have to ask my guides about, hey guides, what happened? Can you show me? Can I handle being shown what it is that occurred? And sometimes they will explain to me, Sam, it's best if you just don't understand what happened or don't see what happened, because you're not going to understand things clearly. In which case I'm like, okay, I get it.
See, for most of us, we couldn't handle that. If they're, why would they tell you that if they are so peaceful or loving or caring that by the way, we don't want you to remember what's going to go on because, we're going to do some pretty nasty stuff to you that you're not going to understand.
Okay, but before you get on that concept, Dave, think of it this way. If you have a child who is afraid of the dentist and they're afraid of the vibration of the drill, yet this child has cavities in their mouth, is it not best to give that child an anesthetic to make it so that they are asleep and do not remember the unnecessary fear and trauma that their mind would create from their lack of understanding of the experience?
Well, when you put it that way.
This
is why I hate talking to you. You always make it sound so sensible.
Well, that is how my guides explained it to me. They said, Sam, sometimes you're not going to understand why things need to be done. But quite often, we're allowing for this to be done, and you have contracts in place saying this can be done. For the most part, unless it's things like black ops, which are not necessarily, which are violating our free will by putting things like implants into us and tracking and things that can cause health problems, those ones are not what the angels and spirit guides say are good things. These are the contact experiences that can be quite traumatizing. I'm much more afraid of the black ops that abduct me than I ever am of the ETs. I can deal with the ETs.
How do you know the difference?
So the difference between a Black Operative abduction and an ET or multidimensional abduction is the Black Op ones are done by military. They are black budget operations. These are the ones that will interrogate you. They will beat you up. They will assault you sexually. They will put you through a lot of training situations. They will interrogate you, trying to find out what the ETs are showing you, doing to you, who it is that's abducting you. They don't have our best interest at heart, because it's very self-serving. The majority of the extraterrestrial multidimensional groups that I've encountered tend to have at least part of humanity's best interest at heart. And when I say part of humanity, that means they're wanting to help the humans that are trying to evolve and change, the ones that are trying to care about the planet and to evolve consciousness. Those are the humans they're putting more of an invested effort into. They would love to help a lot more of humanity, but so much of humanity is fear-based, and they're not going to want to deal with them because they're like, well, it's not any good for a Mantis being to come up to someone who's completely terrified of them and say, hey, I'd love to teach you about psychic abilities, about the truth of the universe, and about space, and about how to heal your body, if that person's going to grab a rifle on them and try to shoot them. So I can see why they can be concerned with humanity and say, we're going to stick to the ones that are better able to handle the telepathic communications, rather than the ones that go straight to a place of fear and shut down their psychic abilities and cannot hear or receive any information from these beings. Most of them are highly telepathic, highly psychic, and that is how most of the information that they present to us comes forward. It's not
Samantha, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to hop out for a break here at the bottom of the hour. Samantha Mowat, A Life of ET Contact, continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have all of you with us tonight. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or you want to check us out live, you can go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and doing a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab the news, the updated news. Captain Shirk's SOR Newswires updated daily. Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking about living a life of ET contact. Now, Samantha, for those of you who don't know, and there's a lot of people who have heard this story, all right, and we'll touch on it because I think it's fair to be upfront with the listeners, especially the new people who may not have heard of you before or know our story together. 25 minutes after I met Samantha, she hauls me into a forest, like literally picks me up. She's like 5'2", maybe $105. Okay, she throws me over her shoulder, and she carries me into a forest and grabs me by the ear and hauls me down and says, "You want to see an alien? There's an alien." No, it didn't happen that way. but literally 25 minutes after seeing her and meeting this incredible young lady, I had my first ET contact at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, April 15th, 2014. It's a day that I will never, ever forget. It's one of those profound moments of my life that to this day affects me. And I couldn't have picked a better person to have that experience with than you, Samantha.
Oh, that's sweet, Dave. In all due fairness, I'm pretty calm when I see most ETs, so that might have helped to make it easier for you.
Well, it is a little bit about full disclosure. I mean, because there's a lot of people out there who will listen to you for the first time. And they'll say, "Oh, this lady's full of crap. She's on the woo train. She is, a little bit out there, a little bit too far out there. How do we know what she's talking about is real?" All I can do is defend your story and say, "Look, I was there when it happened. 25 minutes after meeting you, we're looking at 10 to 12-foot extraterrestrials standing there 200 feet in front of us." That was incredible. An incredible moment in my life. And it's never been the same. I have a radio show out of this now. I had no intention of getting back into radio. But here I am. I blame you for this. Not really, but, sarcastically I do.
Well, that's okay. Think of it this way. You're contributing to the world in an even better way, helping to make it so people better understand the truth of what's going on. And the universe is so much weirder than any of us can truly imagine anyway. And with the diversity of life out there, I mean, is it really surprising that they're coming here to visit? We go all over our planet, visiting the different cultures because there are places that we want to see or ecosystems we just can't wait to go hike through or walk through. It's really no surprise when you think about the technology of a lot of these beings wanting to check out the different planets and star systems and the different kinds of cultures found throughout the universe. I mean, we're tourists. A lot of them are as well.
Mm-hmm. Samantha, right before the break, I'd asked you a question in regards to how do you tell whether it's a MyLab or an MK Ultra experience versus an extraterrestrial, ultra-terrestrial type experience. And you broke that down. one of the big debates that I see on a regular basis here in our chat rooms and people I talk to, or on social media, is the aliens are out to get us. They're out to hurt us. They're out to harm us. We got to put nuclear weapons in space, and that's a good purpose for the Space Force. So that way we can arm ourselves from these alien invaders that are going to make it look like the movie Independence Day, and yet we seem to forget that if they have the technology to get here, and they've been coming here for millennia, they would have probably tried to take us over before we had nuclear weapons. They probably would have came and got us when the most powerful weapon on this planet was a spear or a bow and arrow.
I full-heartedly agree with you, Dave. A lot of these beings have been coming to see us since humans migrated here. Humans aren't truly from here, at least not from everything that they've expressed to me and the things that I've been shown. But ignoring that concept and going back to the concept of the debate between humanity as to whether the ETs are benevolent or malevolent or somewhere in between, based upon my experiences and everything that I've come to see, yes, there are some that are quite mean, that really do have their own self-serving agendas in place. Some that want our resources, some that want to use us as cattle, so on and so forth. But the majority of the extraterrestrials that I have encountered seem to be more focused upon the evolution of our consciousness, because we are, before we actually become a truly space-faring race to a great capacity, they want to make sure that we're not going to take our war and our drama and all of our negative actions and go spread that out throughout the galaxy and the universe to a greater extent than is currently going on. They're wanting to help shift our consciousness to being more aligned with everyone else before they truly allow for us to get off this planet to a large extent. Humanity at this time is very much so a war race. And they're trying to move us out of that mentality and out of this us versus them mentality that we seem to be into, to having more of a mentality of working for the unified collective. That seems to be more what they're focusing on, is the evolution of our consciousness, hence the star children, the indigo children, crystal children, essentially the new children that are being born upon the planet. A lot of educators, everything from teachers to early childhood specialists who have been studying the way children are over the last 100 and something years, they will notice that even in the last 40 years, the way that children were in the 1950s compared to the 70s, compared to the 90s, compared to now, every couple of decades, it seems like there is a massive growth forward where these children are not only more intelligent, but more aware and more psychic. Because humanity is being upgraded at this time. And a lot of the beings that are collecting or, let's say, contacting these children and their families and bloodline families like myself is to help make humanity more conscious of what we're doing, not only to our planet, but to one another. That way, when they come forward, the ETs that is, on a greater capacity and a greater level, our first instinct is not as a collective to go straight to, oh my God, they're invading, we have to protect ourselves. It'll be more so one of, okay, these beings are here, hi, what would you like? Trying to have more of an open dialogue rather than going straight to a place of fear. And that is part of why this upgrade is occurring at this time, with so many star people, such as yourself, incarnating into human bodies to make it so that transition for our species is much easier. That is part of the main agenda for a lot of these beings.
All right, so is it our passive-aggressive nature that is kind of holding them off?
It's our self-serving nature more than anything else. The majority of humans, if you look at the good that they do in their day-to-day lives, most of us have a very low percentile of good and service to others. A lot of them are wanting to have us shift that perspective from service to self to service to all. And that is part of why a lot of people are not being contacted to a great capacity. They're very fixated on themselves and their own benefit, not looking at how they could be of service to everyone else. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be so service to others that you no longer make yourself a priority, but it does mean you have to start being more conscious of what your actions are doing to the world, to the animals around you, to the people around you, on not only an energetic and emotional level, but on a physical level as well. One thing that the ETs that I work with have made very clear to me is the importance of maintaining our environment So my family does our best to avoid plastic bags. We do our best to buy eco-friendly products. My family, I don't eat animal products, but my family chooses to eat some, and they try to have ones that are more ethically sourced. Things along those nature where you're trying to be more aware of the impact that you're having on those around you, and its environmental impact is very important to these beings. And they emphasize the importance of being more conscious in our day-to-day actions, and how that is something that they're very focused on as well. They look at humanity destroying this planet, and if you're someone who's making the choice to, let's say, pollute in all levels, and you're like, oh, well, global warming's not real, okay, fine, but pollution's still a real thing. And you can make the choice not to unnecessarily pollute the planet and the place you live. So, I mean, they look at these components with a lot of humans, and they're disheartened by our choices. And so because a lot of the humans make the choice not to change, these beings make the choice not to interact with a lot of these people. Why try to educate people who do not wish to try to educate themselves is roughly how they've explained it to me.
Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking about a life of ET contact. Samantha, in regards to what they want, what they're doing here, the people that they are taking, are we just scientific experiments? Have you ever felt that way in your situation, or does everything have a purpose?
In my perspective, everything has a purpose. There have been days where I feel like a guinea pig or a broodmare, but that is mostly because of the amount of hybridization that I go through. I'm involved in a lot of different hybrid programs with multiple different species, and because of such, I've gone through a lot of orchestrated relationships, which an orchestrated relationship is a ET or multi-dimensional, it's when you have beings trying to orchestrate or determine in your life who would be a better genetic fit for you based upon the energetic compatibility and the physical compatibility. So, for instance, a couple of years ago, I was making a lot of hybrids with a man who has a high percentage of gray DNA, and part of my DNA does contain gray genetics. And so because of the grays that were abducting him and the grays that were abducting me, they looked at his hybrids and my hybrids together that we have been making. They're like, wow, we'd love for you guys to make physical incarnated babies that have a higher percentage of gray DNA, because this is good for our program, and it's good for, they were both, like, these beings were being very nice to him and to I, but they tried to orchestrate us being together, having us show up together on craft together, going through school together on craft, having a lot of psychic experiences and synchronistic events regarding his name and my name in each other's lives. And so when that didn't pan out because we made the choice not to move forward with that, they replaced that gentleman with a different one. And so that is part of what the different beings will do. If they like the genetics of certain humans, they will try to get them to get together on craft, see how the hybrids work. And if the hybrids work out really well, they'll try to get those two humans together in real life to have children as well. So it's a bit more complicated when we look at the agendas behind a lot of these beings than what we're initially realizing. Some of them are trying to advance their own species. Some of them are trying to help our species. Some, like the Greys, have kind of bred out a lot of the emotional compatibility within themselves. They're trying to breed emotions back in and more away from that almost kind of slightly cold, more logical intelligence that they seem to have really fixated on, whereas other groups are trying to have more of the psychic component come into us. So when you look at humanity, all of us have ET DNA. We all have been tinkered with at some point. It's just a matter of what percentage of activated DNA that you have in place at this time. So for some people, they will have their genetics altered while they're inside their mother's womb. So quite often what happens for me is I will, for instance, let's say I'm just about to start ovulating. I will start going on to craft and meeting what is my primary or predominant mate on craft at that time. He would be an earth human like myself who has a lot of ET DNA that's activated and tinkered with. And we would get together on craft, we would have sex, and normally I would end up getting pregnant after a couple experiences. and this would all be over the course of like a week or two cycle. My period would end up being late, and then the beings would end up collecting the fetus, seeing how it was developing. And normally when they have you in like this encounter, you'll find yourself laying on it almost like this kind of like medical type table that's slightly pea-shaped, like a soybean type thing, almost like a pea pod kind of thing almost, and
Right.
it'll be hovering, and you'll have like an energetic ball or the soul of this being being taken out of your body. They will often inspect it, determine if it needs to stay in the body, if it could be a viable option, or if it's not going to be strong enough to survive, they will take it out, and then you'll start your period a few days later. Whereas if you have multiple fetuses with a partner, like a primary, that are going very well and very healthy and great psychically, great physically, everything else, they will try to get the two of you to get together in real life, which can be a wonderful thing, but also a very frustrating thing as well, especially if one or both partners are married. They don't really have that same consideration taken into account, at least not based upon my experiences and my contact history.
We got about 7 minutes left until the top of the hour where we got to go to break, but Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Samantha, with you and the way that, and I'm going to use this term loosely, they have abused your body, at any point, does it get to stop?
Well, I don't really feel like my body's been abused. I absolutely love my hybrids. I have the pleasure of meeting my hybrid children quite often. I get to see them as they grow from being very small babies into being toddlers and children, and some are now almost at the stage of being adults. So, yes, hybridization does stop eventually. I mean, I'm not expecting to go through menopause for another 10 or 15 years, actually more like 15, judging by my age, but still. Sorry if that's a TMI, everybody, but one thing that I have found is that I'm expecting to be involved in the hybrid program for the next decade and a half. So after that is done, I will still continue having ET contact, but I may not be involved in the creation of children aspect anymore. One thing that I have noticed with these beings is that there is a give and take with them. Because I am needed to be at a certain level of health, they've also done a very good job of keeping me healthy. If I get things like bronchitis or mono or chickenpox, then they come and they will abduct me, and they will abduct my physical form, and they will sometimes come into my home to heal me, or they'll open up a vortex and take me through a vortex onto craft to have me healed. There is very much, though, a very loving essence being done by a lot of these beings to help ensure that the health of the contactees is being maintained. And it's not just for the genetic aspect to ensure the hybrids are doing well, but it also, a lot of these beings are abducting, I use that term loosely, or contacting people that are involved in their soul family, people that, when in previous incarnations, have been the same type of beings as them. For instance, you could make the choice, like let's say your soul origin is a mantis being. You could make the choice to come down and have a human experience, and this other being that is going to be contacting you or abducting you could be one of your best friends that is still alive, but you could make the choice of, okay, I'm equivalent to a 25-year-old mantis years. I'm going to go down to Earth for the next 80 years. That's only equivalent to like 5 years in our time. During that time, you're going to abduct me, and then I'll go back into a mantis being, and we can discuss what it is that we learned and what it is that had occurred. Even though I'm not going to remember what it is fully that you were doing, we'll review it in that life review afterwards. So, I mean, the contact aspect that people are looking at is actually much more complicated than what the standard even investigator is truly understanding. It's not a matter of what these beings want or why does these beings are doing this. We have to look at things from an even deeper, more soul-connected perspective, because many of these beings are highly spiritual beings that have a deeper connection to Source, or the creator-type being, not necessarily God in the way that we're perceiving it, but they do look at things from more of the collective perspective. And that is why they feel it's important to teach a lot of the contactees about crystals and the vibration contained within crystals and their healing capacity and the beings that are within them, as well as the aspect of plants and how plants can be communicated with and grow better when they have things like music to Reiki, to all sorts of modalities along those lines, to the different animals that they will expose you to on craft, showing how there's a telepathic and empathic connection being expressed through these beings. it's really quite more extensive than what is currently being investigated or understood. Where I feel humanity would really benefit is if they were to start having books being written by the various contactees about what they're going through for school on craft. Because when you go to school on craft, you learn a lot about what these beings are trying to educate you on and where their focus is to help humanity take the next step. When I went to school on craft, Dave, it was all about learning about energy, psychic abilities, how to see energy, manipulate energy, play with energy, how energy can be found in all sorts of objects and natural materials, as well as the different energies contained off of people. And these are the aspects that they want to make sure that I would help educate humanity on. And I was in classes that were always with other people, so that means there are multiple other people that have been trained in these things as well, but that is our job to share that kind of information. The different contactees, based upon their soul gifts, are more equipped to spread different knowledge. I would not be a good soul to share strong, like really intense mathematical equations because I'm slightly dyslexic. So it wouldn't make sense for me to be sharing that information now, would it?
Well, I mean, for most of us out there, it's very tough to comprehend. You realize that, and I know you know that, and I know you know that. You know, you talk about this so nonchalantly, like you're trying to break down mathematics or some sort of scientific theory into how UFOs fly. You break it down so easily. How have you been able to figure all of this out? Were they the ones who gave you this information? Have they allowed you the ability to ask questions and get answers?
Yes, typically, but I'm also willing to tell them, hey, I'm remembering my abductions. When I go on craft, I have no problem hugging beings, asking them questions, looking them in the eye. If I see that somebody is portraying a false front to me, I have no problem calling them out going, I know you're not my aunt. I know you're not my husband. I know you're not really my child. Who are you? Or I can tell that you're a gray, or I can tell that you're a reptilian, or I can tell that that's not your true human form. Because I'm willing to state these things to the beings, quite often they will drop the facade and start speaking to me as an equal, going, oh, okay, this one actually remembers. A lot of the people that go up onto craft, and many of your listeners included, will have contact, but they'll just dismiss what they're having, going, oh, that was just a really weird dream, not recognizing the screen memories that are in place. Almost all contactees have screen memories, myself included. And it's not in every case we'll have screen memories, but quite often we will have them because it's our logical mind. Even if they don't give us a screen memory, you may have a screen memory kind of going over top because your rational, logical mind's going, okay, I just dreamt about UFOs. I just dreamt about these ET beings. I don't understand. I'm going to just shift all that around, trying to put it into some form that my consciousness can understand and just dismiss it. And so trying to rationalize, like, let's say, Dave, tonight you go home or you go to bed and you are the first time experiencer and you're developing a heart issue and some grays come into your room and they take you up on a craft and they operate on you and you see this device coming down from the ceiling and going into your heart and trying to rearrange it and fix it and repair the muscle tissue and everything else. You might have the dream of, oh, I just dreamt about these angels came forward and healed me, or I dreamt about my grandmother and she touched my heart last night. And it was such a wonderful feeling. You might have a memory like that over place when in actuality it could be a multidimensional being who's doing these healing modalities or procedures on you. Because you might not be able to handle the aspect of a being coming down and actually helping you when it looks very intimidating to you.
Right. Samantha, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we're just about to wrap up hour number 1 with Samantha Mowat. I see the questions starting to build in our chat rooms all over the place, so we will get those asked for you in hour number 2. Samantha Mowat is our guest. The Life of E.T. Contact continues right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together, we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to give a shout-out to everyone listening in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KZAX 94.9 FM in Bellingham, Washington, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and to Chuck and the crew at KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. We're proud to broadcast digitally on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Molluscicide. Molluscicide is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight we are talking about life of an ET contactee. Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight. She is a Canadian contactee, good friend of mine, and literally 25 minutes after I met her, almost 6 years ago already, 25 minutes after I met her, she walks me right into an extraterrestrial, 200 feet away, 10 to 12 feet tall, and changes my life forever. This is the real deal. Samantha Mowat, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Samantha, we usually don't get into the darker side of things with you because, usually our interviews are a little bit different than what we are doing tonight. But in regards to and I don't know if you're comfortable going down this road or not, I'll leave it up to you. But in regards to the contact with My Labs, MK Ultra, is that just part of the process of being an ET contactee? Does everybody have them, or are you a chosen one?
Well, I would definitely not say it's a group you want to be chosen to participate in. More so when it comes to things like MK Ultra, the Monarch programming, My Labs, that aspect, it tends to be something more likely to happen to bloodline families and not necessarily just ET contact families, but families that are... Quite often it can be done to satanic families. It can also be done to families that are more involved in the, like, not necessarily the elite aspect, but those that have a high percentage of military aspects, those whose families have kind of better connected to, I'm just going to have to be really blunt. Part of the reason my family goes through the My Lab aspect does relate to my great-grandfather and his horrible choices in World War II and in being an SS soldier. I fully do not agree with that. I think racism is just the most ridiculous thing out there, but because of his involvement within those parties, it does have to do with part of the reason why my family has gone through a lot of the traumatic aspects that they have. There is a certain degree of negative contact that goes with it, to connections to some of the darker beings, and more everything from Djinn to some of the negative reptilian groups to stuff like that. Some reptilians are absolutely lovely and wonderful, the most peaceful, kind, healing beings you're ever going to meet, but some of the others can be more associated with the ones that are actually in control of this planet at this time. And because of his choices and because he was so heavily involved with the military, his kids had contact, his grandkids had contact with some of the darker ones, and it does still partially carry over to this day. Now, when it comes to that aspect, things like MK Ultra and Monarch programming are done to people who are bloodline. And I don't mean bloodline in a hoity-toity way. Please don't see it that way. It just simply means that your genetic lineage is being followed. It's actually an aspect you don't necessarily want to be involved in and don't really want to incarnate into. I would love to know why my soul made the choice to do it, but with my family and the way that it works is because I've had such a strong degree of contact from a very young age. I was born on a military base to parents that were in the military. If I had made the choice to join the military, as both my parents tried to encourage me to do, I would have been like a fourth generation in a row military, member. I made the choice not to, clearly. But when I was young, with all my ET contact, especially having lived on multiple military bases in paramilitary quarters for the first several years of my life, it does make it easier to go through things like My Lab experiences, because it's just them walking roughly across the field to the houses. It really is not difficult for them to do. And having been born to contactees, they're well aware of which of their personnel are being contacted. And so if you're a child who is born to parents in the military who are contactees, you will go through My Lab experiences to see to what degree you are having contact, as well as to put you into a lot of these training modalities. My Lab experiences have shifted over the years. When I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, I did go through a lot of training ops, and same with into my early 20s. Operations that were more so focused upon things from survival to psychic experiences to psychic development, and this was determining to what capacity my psychic abilities could be used and under what circumstances and if I would break and stuff like that. Whereas in the more recent years, when I find myself in a lot of My Lab situations now, it is done more on a one-on-one level, typically between myself, my handlers, which are the My Lab personnel, and either ET beings, or I find myself in a teaching or training capacity now with small children. Children typically between the ages of 6 and 12. And it's interesting, Dave, for someone like myself who doesn't necessarily agree with things like war or going out of their way to be violent like that. It's interesting in the sense to find myself training children how to use their psychic abilities, as I had done less than 2 months ago in one of my experiences, where I found myself in an underground base in some sort of large cavern-y type area with a group of like half a dozen to a dozen children, and teaching them, okay, we are going to all focus our energy and attention going from the left, scanning forward, off to the right, pinpoint where your enemy is, and then showing them how to quietly send telepathic thoughts to each other, how to recognize what direction their enemy is coming from, which was an opposing child team, how to recognize how equipped with weaponry their opponents are, stuff like that. It's interesting when you grow up going through these experiences, seeing how they evolve and change over time based upon how my skill set changes and where I am more so better utilized or fitting. I've found that in the last couple of years in particular, it's gone from them trying to do orchestrated relationships because they realized that in my abductions with my lab personnel, I would quite often be sitting down across from them, either having blood tests done, having medical procedures done, sitting across from a table from another woman or occasionally a man with a soldier in the room, and this person asked me questions of, okay, who are you having contact with lately? What are you doing? Where are they taking you? Off planet, on craft, off craft, in your house? And you will find yourself, because they have these program states put into us at such a young age, that you will freely respond to them. You will find yourself being like, yes, I was taken by this group of reptilians. Okay, we did this. And we did that. Then I found myself here. And they were of this height and this build and this approximate weight. Because they break a lot of our minds to an extent quite young. They create what's known as alters, which are almost like alternative personalities. Or it's almost like, how can I explain this nicely? When you are abducted by these groups, they will make it so that your mental state is fractured. You will be pushed to your breaking point or very close to, and then they will create a sub-personality that is locked away with keywords and phrases. And they will make it so that you are accessing these alters only under certain conditions with certain triggers in place. And so some of my alters are not necessarily nice people. They can do some very horrific things. And one thing that I have found with this is that this is done when you're a child. I'd really rather not go into exactly how alters are created tonight, if that's okay with you, because it is a very graphic and rather demeaning process, and one that honestly makes me feel horrible about some of the things that have happened to me. But one thing that I have found with this is when you're going through the MyLab situation, a lot of MyLabs, yes, they are ET contactees and multidimensional beings, but they will go through, they do go through contact typically after an ET abduction. So for instance, if I have a physical ET abduction going on where the beings either come over top of my house or they come into my home, whether it's a vortex or a UFO, or I walk out my back door and find myself standing on my back deck and being taken up onto craft, after that it's quite common to have a MyLab experience afterwards where they will interrogate you. Earlier last year, I found myself in an underground base, and I was in a medical waiting room waiting with other women. I was called by one of my alter names. I walk in, I sit on the bed. This woman takes a blood sample from me. She, I believe she did what was a vaginal ultrasound or something like that, because I remember something about her being doing like a gynecological exam. And I had asked her afterwards about, well, why are we doing this? And she's like, oh, it's to see who you have permission to breed with. Because they do take a lot of the healthy MyLabs that are of a good breeding age, and sometimes they will harvest their eggs because they have more activated ET DNA, more psychic DNA, more psychic capabilities, and they will often take those children and raise them in these underground bases. Or they will try to see if you are a good fit for certain handlers, because they have said that my current husband is an inefficient handler and that they have the intention of replacing him. So there are a lot of aspects like that that do need to be further discussed when it comes to the MyLab aspect outside of just the MK Ultra aspect. When people think of handlers, they always think MK Ultra monarch programming, when in actuality a lot of ET contactees that could be a threat to the system often have handlers in place. And a lot of people that are handlers may not even realize that they are being handlers. They can be triggered into acting as one. So it's really an interesting and rather well thought out dynamic in place here. So it's hard to even look at some of the people who trained me when I was younger, acting as my teachers in the MyLab situations, and to feel resentment towards them now that I find myself acting in a teaching capacity to these children. Do you understand?
Yes. Continue on.
Okay. So when we're looking at the MyLab aspect and we're looking at the MK Ultra aspect, normally there are certain ways that you can start to differentiate between the two. MK Ultra is typically used when there are programs in place such as sex kitten programming. MK Ultra can be broken down to things like alpha, beta, theta, delta programming, with the different ones specializing in different things. It can be assassin programming, sex kitten programming. It can be related to things like psychic programming. I mean, there's really quite a bit to it. Some are used for passing information. So it depends on what kind of ultra that you are being triggered into. For me, unfortunately, I do have kitten programming, so I notice that it's very easy for me to get switched, or to have it's almost like this thing goes off in your mind that switches you from like one mental state over to another, and you'll notice like slight personality changes or cues depending upon if someone's been triggered. And for me, this isn't something I've really talked about a lot with the public, but I find that it's easier for me to get triggered into more of like a sexual type programming if I have any alcohol or if there's certain kinds of music on. And it's not because of the empathic tendencies. That's not it. It's because there are different tones and frequencies that can put you into an altered state. Quite often, they will give you injections or things to drink to help switch you over in a mental state as well. And they can also program you to do things or to avoid doing things depending upon what it is they're intending to have happen to you or what it is they need you to do. And so that's part of the reason why I am very cautious about things like alcohol. I don't like having much drink, or very often. If I do, I don't like doing it near other people, because I need to know that whoever's with me, if I get into an altered or triggered state, then I'm with people who are going to help bring me back out of that. It can be a very concerning dynamic. One thing they will do with things like MK Ultra is you will normally have an older, like for instance, it quite often starts quite young. It does start in your early teen years normally, sometimes a little younger. It can even continue on into your 20s, where you'll have an older woman in either their 30s or 40s, occasionally 50s, who is training or programming, acting as a handler to these younger women. And one thing I had come forward last year was part of my memory from when I was older, or pardon me, when I was younger, where I found myself in an underground base, and I was with this blonde woman, and she was like putting me in this altered state, because it's a very symbolic way of understanding it, but she showed me walking down this ramp, and then there's a spiral staircase, and you go down a little bit, and then you walk more, and then you go down a little bit to another spiral staircase, not realizing it's my mind trying to understand how I was being taken deeper and deeper into deeper levels of my subconscious into an altered state. And there was a certain tone or frequency being played. And I noticed that when this happens, how can I explain this? It almost alters the way that the mind is being done. And this better allows for you to be, in one sense, of service or in that programmed state. And quite often when I find myself in this state, I do find that I will have sex with some of these like male MyLab handlers. And it's not just always done for breeding. Sometimes it's done for control and programming. It's honestly a very heavy aspect that really is not talked about much. And I'm trying my best to choose my words carefully because I don't want to trigger myself. It can send you, when you go into these things, it can very easily send the people who are exploring them into a major depression.
All right. Let's get to some questions from our audience, as we got about 5.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight. This one comes from Sparky. There's a pair of hers. Samantha, if your DNA was to be analyzed, would your other species' DNA be able to be identified, or would you just show possibly a larger portion of what they call junk DNA, which I have always thought to be alien DNA?
Well, Sparky, I do believe that if the researchers who were analyzing my DNA knew what kind of triggers or markers to look for, that they would actually be able to recognize very easily the different components of the extraterrestrial multi-dimensional DNA that has been altered and sliced into my own. In one of my MyLab experiences, I had a woman who was actually collecting a blood sample from me, looking at how my ET DNA or my human DNA, whatever you wish to call it, has been modified over the last couple of years, seeing the differences between a few years previously versus the DNA of what was going on in my body at that time. So yes, if they knew what to look for, they would see the difference.
All right, follow-up from Sparky. This is a real reach. However, is there any possibility that the negative reptilians that are on planet Earth could have any involvement in releasing the current virus upon the population?
That I'm not sure. I don't believe this virus is a natural virus. I do believe it's manufactured, although who manufactured it, I don't even dare speculate to guess. Sorry.
All right, let's move on over to YouTube, where Corey is asking, Samantha, how can you breed for different alien species if human DNA is not compatible with other species here?
That's adorable. Well, part of the reason why we are better able to breed with these different ETs is we have been altered for hundreds of years to have more of an ET percentage than that of the standard human. We actually go through alterations throughout numerous points of our lifetime. So think of it this way. Corey, when I was younger, I would have contact occurring where they would alter part of my body, altering part of the genetics, make it so it was more, compatible with their own. Everything from having things inserted to the genetics of my body being modified. Now, how this is done exactly, I don't know. But I remember multiple times of laying on tables and having things either inserted to me or having things scanning over me and changing the way that things were, being combined or in the body itself. When I talked earlier about the fetus being taken out of the mother's body in that beautiful orangey colored orb and then being looked at by the mantis, quite often they will alter the genetics or even the vibration and the way the cellular structure is of that fetus and then put it back in. I've seen them do it to my children, and I know that they have done it to myself. They do it in such a way, because their technology is much more advanced than our own, that it can be reinserted and done in increments or stages throughout the pregnancy, as well as continue into the adulthood and throughout the childhood to help make it so it's not like all of a sudden you'll go from being like straight human to half human, half ET. It doesn't work that way. It's done over the course of hundreds of years to make it so these humans are better able to breed. That is part of the reason why we're able to have hybrids, and why for quite a while a lot of the hybrids weren't necessarily doing as well. It's because they had the percentages off. It isn't like a lot of the hybrids are just like half gray, half human. They will be like a portion gray, a portion mantis, a portion reptilian, depending upon what is needed. But if you look at the human genetics themselves, you will realize that humanity is actually comprised of a large portion of ET DNA already. It's just a matter of what percentage is activated and which parts are more compatible. Some humans have a lot more experiences with reptilians because their soul family is reptilian, as well as the family will have been being abducted by certain groups of reptilians for hundreds of years, and therefore be more drawn to certain characteristics within their personality, certain behavioral patterns, as well as certain food preferences and certain breeding preferences. So let me explain this further and deeper for you. Humans that have more of a gray percentage of their DNA, who are having more of, like, let's say their family's abducted by the grays for hundreds of years, they will have more tinkering done with gray genetics than, say, the humans that are being abducted by the reptilians, or the humans that are being abducted by the light beings, who aren't as likely to interfere with the DNA analysis to heal them, but they're not as likely to insert or splice their DNA in. There are a lot of different species that are abducting humanity and tinkering with us. Some of them is done for breeding, like myself. Yes, I do have reptilian DNA, gray DNA, humanoid DNA, mantis DNA. There's a lot of different DNAs within my body. And this is because my family has been abducted by a large amount of species for a very long period of time. And for certain others, like if we look at the ruling elite of our planet, they are a combination of reptilian and human. There are a lot of humans that you can look at them and you can actually see various ET characteristics in place. You can see that humans that have a higher percentage of reptilian DNA typically do have a heavier eyebrow, where it's almost like the bones come forward a bit more. They do have more like of those piercing eyes that tend to be a bit more of like that heavier eyelid type appearance. You can tell the humans that tend to have more of like the gray genetics coming forward, because they tend to have more of like the frail body types, a more like very either thin and lanky or tall and lanky. You can tell the ones that have more of like the Anunnaki genetics, because they're very like stocky and very muscular. I mean, you can, if you actually know what to look for, you can start to recognize the different ET characteristics that are coming place with a lot of humanity. And we tend to be...
All right.
Go ahead.
Hold on right there, Samantha. Hold on, we'll finish that right up after this and more of your questions with Samantha Mowat on Spaced Out Radio coming up after this break.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblelicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, or you want to check us out live, you can go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocket Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking about what it's like to have a life of ET contact. And Samantha, like I promised you I would, I forgot what you were talking about previous. I forgot to write it down. So we're just going to we're going to continue on with the questions from our audience here, as I know there's a number of questions up on YouTube here. Follow up from Corey, who is asking, Samantha, can you please explain how food affects the frequencies that aliens see? He has taken your advice from a previous show on eating whole foods and wants more information.
No problem. So one thing that has been explained to me by the various extraterrestrial multidimensional beings that have taught me on craft is that the vibration of the foods that we're putting into our body directly affect the way our aura is operating. If you look at the life essence or food vibration that is coming out of something, let's say, heavily processed, like let's say tonight I were to have a nice bowl of craft dinner. Sure, it tastes really good, totally satisfying, makes me feel like I'm super comforted and makes me think about my childhood. Great. But the vibration of a food that heavily processed actually has a very lower dense vibration. And so how it impacts the aura is it actually makes the aura much slower, much closer to the body, and much denser. And because if we think about the aura as having different abilities to tap into or sense of the things around us, if your aura is large and very free of clutter, it can easily sense the vibration of everything from the ghosts that walk around us to our spirit guides to our angelic beings to multidimensional, so on and so forth. Even picking up on the vibrations being emitted by other people or emotions that have been dropped into a location. So if I have that craft dinner and I go to sit down and read you, Dave, I'd be like, I'm really not getting a lot of information because my aura would be so wrapped close to my body that I couldn't get a clear read on you because my vibration would be too dense. So what they explained to me is that when I have animal products or caffeine or sugar or heavily processed foods, it actually alters the vibration of the body in such a way that it makes it go sporadic. So if you're choosing animal products, that's fine, but make sure they were happy animals. Make sure that if you're going to have cheese, get it from a happy cow that lived a good life, that was happily breastfeeding, and it's just the extra milk that the calf isn't using that is producing your cheese or your milk or your butter. Don't get it from the factory farm where the animal is living a really horrible life, and now that vibration is being embedded into its milk, which is now becoming your cheese, and now its friend is becoming your burger, and now you're putting all these chaotic, fearful vibrations into your aura, because that slows down your psychic abilities. It makes it so you can't read the other people as clearly. It means you can't connect into the multidimensional and extraterrestrial beings as well as your angels and spirit guides as accurately, because you have this chaotic and fearful vibration. Dave, if you and I are going through a haunted house and you're worried that there's going to be someone jumping out to scare you, you're probably not going to get a good psychic read on the things that are coming up or what the people are saying to you that are having this experience, are you?
Well, all I'm going to say is everything you just labeled off was my entire day today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not my intention.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me tell you my day. A bowl of Fruit Loops, a banana. Let's see here. Couple cans of Pepsi, roast beef, Lazy Man's roast beef sandwich for dinner. My snack for lunch was nachos with cheese and salsa. Oh, my God. I feel so guilty after listening to you talk right now.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just dying here.
I bet it tasted amazing. As a consolation, I bet it tasted really good. Whereas what these beings have taught me as the things that they prefer for me to eat and what they've, for instance, they like it best when I eat vegan food. So when I don't have things like gluten in my body, when I don't have things like sugar, when I don't have things like caffeine, and people are like, oh my God, what do you eat, salad all the time? It's like, no, I actually eat a lot of different, very diverse foods. Everything you can have, I can have too, but I'm having the healthier, higher vibrational version of it. And yes, it tastes good. No, it doesn't taste like sawdust, which a lot of people seem very concerned about. But the reason why I'm bringing this aspect up is when you have whole living foods, everything from as close to source as possible, these foods have a higher vibration. Dave, if you and I were to go into the garden and cut a leaf off the plant and ask the plant for permission for saying, hey, I would really like to harvest some of your food. I'm only going to take a little bit. I love you. I really appreciate everything that you're doing and the contribution you are to this world. Thank you. That plant will give you more of its life essence. So when you cut the leaf, it's like, okay, I know I'm being separated from it. And then if you and I were to do a Kirlian photograph showing the vibrational frequency of that leaf, which is kind of like being clairvoyant and look at the vibration of that food, you're like, wow, look at that amazing leaf. It has such a high auric capacity. Whereas if we just go out there and cut the leaf and don't talk to the plant and don't express gratitude, now the plant's all afraid because it sees you walking up to it with a knife. It's like, oh my goodness, what is this? You're going to notice that leaf has a much smaller aura and therefore less life essence. And that's part of why these beings having me talk to my plants and blessing my water and thanking even though I have plants all throughout my house, my kitchen, I express to them, yes, I am eating other plants, but I really appreciate the contribution these plants have. And because these plants are taking care of me, I'm taking care of you, further contributing to that beautiful cycle of we are all one. And that's part of what they're making reference to, is that when you have these healthier, higher vibrational foods in you, you have a better telepathic range. You have a better ability to heal the body, to tap into these beings, not only psychically, but physically, astral projection wise. You have better encounters overall because you can better control the energy of what's going on around you, making you less susceptible to a lot of these negative encounters as well. As we talked about earlier, with me being careful about not allowing myself to get triggered or to go into a depression, because I found that when I get into these lower vibrational states, let's say I have a really bad MyLab encounter, I get sexually assaulted, I remember shooting someone, I remember having something really traumatic happen. My first reaction, Dave, like many of your listeners, is I want my comfort foods. I want to have something like Cheetos or a coffee or whatever. And so by doing that, I'm actually further contributing to that lower vibrational energy kind of sticking around me. and then I just want to watch some bad TV or trashy TV or whatever, something more of like that comfort zone type food or experience, rather than trying to take myself out of that vibrational slump that I'm in. And so I have to be very careful with the experiences I'm having as to what I do afterwards, because they've expressed to me how our vibration really can be impacted by the things that we're eating and watching, because it can be a very vicious cycle. And trying to get out of that can be very hard for most people. So when I have negative encounters, they like it when I start my day with fresh fruit and tea and really having things like salads and higher vibrational foods throughout my day, just to keep it so my vibration is up and healthier and happier. Because that does make me a better channel with these beings, allowing me to get the information that I'm wanting. Dave, if you and I were to be abducted tonight, looking at what I had for dinner, which was a vegan wrap with like lots of lettuce and just like a veggie patty and everything else that's more higher vibrational, and versus you, I could get better telepathic information from these beings because my vibration has a greater range than yours at this time. I don't mean that in a rude way. I just mean that because of what I've ingested into my body, I have a higher, I guess, frequency range than you do right now. That's not to say you can't change that, but it does really get impacted by the things that you eat and do and think.
I only deal with aliens that eat burgers and bacon. That's it. I drew my line.
Well, that'll be entertaining.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Do you know what? I've never seen an ET being eating a burger or bacon, but if I see one, I'm going to ask to take a picture of them and be like,
oh, absolutely.
Show my friend Dave. He'd love that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's happened. I mean, let's face it, with all the aliens that are hanging out in Las Vegas, they've eaten burgers. They have eaten burgers.
I guarantee it.
All right, let's move on to another question. Davey is asking, do aliens come back if you try to run away and hide from them once they successfully get you into that place with all of the steel-grated hallways with the orangish lights, or do they just not let you remember?
Depends on what group you're dealing with and depends on their affiliation or connection to you, Davey. One thing I've found is that I have tried, with some of my encounters, I can be in a panicky type state. So let's say I have a really negative experience and something bad happens. For the next month or so after that, I can be in a more likely to run type emotional energy. So if I get into a contact experience where I'm feeling fearful, then my first response might be to run. And so I will find that sometimes they will follow me and be like, hey, look, Samantha, it's okay. It's fine. We're not here to hurt you. We just need to do this. Whereas others that aren't necessarily as kind. Here, let me give you an example. I'll give you two just to explain to you the difference. A while ago, a couple of years ago, I had some gray beings above my house that were trying to put an implant back in that I had deactivated. And so after a couple of days of me being like, nope, you're not doing this, I don't want this, and they're like, hey, this implant is for your health, they abducted me. They took me to an underground type base, and they had this implant reinserted back into me. But when they were getting me, it was in my astral form, so no, it was an astral encounter, because I kept projecting my consciousness ahead in a zigzag type pattern, which we can't do with our physical bodies. And so this was more of like an astral type experience. And these ones, although they were putting the implant in for my benefit, they saw with my fear-based state that I wouldn't remember the experience well, so they didn't communicate with me in the same capacity. Whereas another experience, I had a similar type gray being. I had seen a couple of grays in a medical type room. I found myself in a hallway. I looked around a corner, saw some beings that were standing, like gray beings that were standing around a human that was laying in like a medical type chair. A gray being stood up over top of this man and lowered himself into the body of the man, like his soul was kind of merging into the body type thing. And I was like, oh my goodness, what the heck is this? I became afraid, walked down the hallway, saw a few beings at the end of the hallway. I said, hey, come with me, because I saw them appearing as humans. I'm like, there are some ETs back that are going to human bodies, and I think we should leave, not thinking that I was talking to ETs that were already in human bodies. I found myself in a different ET type base, and this time I found myself like separating away from this group. pardon me, and I had a female ET projecting her consciousness around trying to find me, and I did try running from her. I put myself into a small room, almost like a closet, and when she found me, she said, she was on the other side of the door, and when I finally came out, she said, Samantha, we're not going to hurt you. You misinterpreted what you saw. And she was very calm and very loving, explaining that I was not paying attention. Pardon me. I don't know, I'm coughing. So, do you see the difference there? How sometimes you can run, but it's not because they're trying to hurt you?
Yes. I think it's just human fear. When in doubt, run. That's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We are very easily afraid of things, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But fear is programmed into us. We fear what we do not understand, whereas a lot of these species, if they don't know something or don't understand, their first reaction isn't necessarily fear, it's curiosity. And so we can actually be of large danger to a lot of ETs because we can go into such a fear-based state that we can be kind of like a crazy person where we can be very violent. And that is concerning to them.
All right. Let's move on to another question here. This one comes from Chris. Would ET care for your survival in case of an emergency?
Yes. In my case, yes. One thing they have shown me is everything from natural disasters to world wars to different forms of negative invasions. They've shown myself and my children being taken off planet under multiple circumstances, whereas a lot of humanity being left behind. They don't necessarily care for everyone, though.
Philip is asking, how do we know who is in our soul family?
Oh, that's a fun one. So, Philip, I want you to think of it this way. When you meet members of your soul family, whether it's like a soulmate or just like a soul friend, there's a vibrational recognition. So a vibrational recognition is, let's say you and I were to meet, and right away we'd be like, there's something really familiar about this person. I feel like I can talk to them about anything. I feel like I'm totally accepted by them. I have this sense of deep compassion and caring for them. You're going to have like a sense of almost like a point of connection to them right away. And you may not recognize it's a soul family connection, but there will be like this instant chemistry or connection. It doesn't mean it's sexual or romantic, but it'll almost be like very platonic. So if it's something like a soul family member, it can feel more like your true family than that of your biological family, because you'll feel always accepted and at home with this person, even if you're not seeing eye to eye. And it's really quite a beautiful thing. So, for instance, when I've met some of my soul family members, like a dear friend of mine, Casey, right away the first time he and I talked for, I think it was like a good 2 hours on the phone. Even though he just called me up randomly to talk about ETs randomly one time, which was wonderful. And there was this instant sense of like, hey, it's kind of like you're like my big brother. And he felt it right away too. And it's so wonderful when you have stuff like that, because those people, they tend to be on a similar vibrational level to you. They have very similar viewpoints to you about the world. They have a very similar energy or point of connection. And when other people get to know you and this other person, like, wow, you guys are so in sync or so familiar, it'll be commented on by other people just how alike the two of you are. It's quite a wonderful thing.
All right, let's move on to another question as we got about 6 minutes to go before we go to break. At the top of the hour, Samantha Mowat is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The Geek Freak on YouTube is asking, Samantha, could you pick out a hybrid in a crowded room?
Well, most of humanity is a hybrid to one extent or another. But if you mean like an ET hybrid, possibly. Depends on how good of a hybrid they are. Is their vibration close enough to humanity that even though they were born on craft, that they don't have a far enough vibration away from it to have a strong ET resonance? In which case, maybe not. But a normal, standard, run-of-the-mill hybrid, yeah, probably.
I always wondered that, too. Like, if you're walking down the street, can you tell? I mean, there are certain people that just look like aliens. I mean, let's just be honest here.
That's true.
There are certain people that just look like aliens, and you're like, you have no clue. You have absolutely no clue. You just want to walk up to them and say, what planet are you from? You're looking kind of Lyran these days. Tell me about it. What's going on up in the stars? But, we joke about it. We could be in jest about it. But as for the hybrids that you and people like Geraldine Orozco and others have been a part of this hybridization program, are any of those children walking this planet?
Depends on who's hybrids, and a lot of them could walk on this planet and not necessarily be recognized right away as hybrids. People would notice that there's something kind of like different about this person, or their eyes seem like they're a fair bit bigger or more intense. A lot of the hybrids, from my experience, tend to have a much different energy vibration than that of children that are raised on Earth. It's almost like when I find myself on craft quite often, it could be helping to show some of my hybrids aspects of human culture or the way that we do things, whether it's like, hey guys, don't sit like completely upright with your hands folded and your eyes really wide. Humans blink. You need to blink if you're going to try to make humans comfortable. You can't just stare at them so intently like the ETs do. And so even with my hybrid children, just trying to give you a better point of understanding, I find that they have more human tendencies and more human actions than that of standard ETs that I meet. With my hybrids, it's quite common for me to sing to them or to rock them or to hug them, because those are aspects of human culture and society that I want to pass on to my hybrids to have as a point of connection to part of their heritage. Whereas the ETs, like if I'm having hybrids that are like Andromedan or Arcturian or Grey or even Reptilian, they may not have the same point of connection to song and creative expression than, say, they're like the other hybrids that they're raised with that are, let's say, Reptilian and something else, rather than like just Reptilian and human, or just Grey and human, or Arcturian and human, because it's almost like the different aspects of what we are tend to influence what it is we are drawn to. So, how can I explain this better? If you are a hybrid, like let's say, Dave, you and I were to encounter someone who is a hybrid, and let's say they are raised on craft. If they are a Grey and human, like let's say Pleiadian and Earth human, then we would recognize that there's something slightly ET about this person. But because of the two varieties of human, with the one version or one variety or soul aspect that isn't, we may not recognize it as quickly than, say, if we were to talk to someone who was just straight a human and, let's say, Grey and hybrid. Like, let's say, Dave, that you have hybrid children. Like, let's say your parents started breeding with the Greys, and they made you, so you would have like a third or a quarter or whatever percentage of Grey DNA. And let's say you then bred with someone who was more of that Grey DNA, who, say, only has like an eighth human, whereas you could have like an eighth Grey. Your hybrid child would have a higher percentage of ET DNA, obviously. And so if that child were to come down here, you would probably recognize much sooner that this, although is partially human, would have like more Grey features, more Grey tendencies in their personality than, say, the human Pleiadian and Grey hybrid. See how they're both encompassing the Greys, both incorporating the genetic components of them, but one has a much stronger percentage of typical ET DNA, whereas one has a higher percentage of more typical human and Grey DNA. So it does depend on the structure. Go ahead.
We've only got about a minute 30 left before we got to go to break here at the top of the hour. And so with the hybrid species that could be wandering around this earth, how would we recognize our own hybrid children? Okay, because on this plane, we know that, like, for instance, I have 3 kids. I wouldn't know if I had a hybrid kid walking around. I would have no clue.
Unless you encountered them. For me, I have the pleasure of remembering a lot of my pregnancies and births of my hybrid children. I've been given the opportunity to meet them on craft quite a few times and occasionally have some in my home. So for me, I have gotten to get to know their vibrations. For a lot of you, you will not have your hybrid children walk by you in the grocery store or down the street and pass them. And if you did, you would at best recognize there's something really familiar about that person, but I can't quite place my finger on it. Unless you're more attuned to what your vibration is and more attuned to the vibration of the people that are around you, you may not even recognize that the child you're encountering is your hybrid. But for me, with my hybrids, there's a certain recognition that takes place. I've recognized there's something in their frequency that is akin to my own. And because I know my children, like my Earth children's frequency, and I know the frequency of my next 2 children to come, I'm better able to recognize how their vibrations are similar to that of my hybrids, because it has a certain, almost like underneath frequency that is the soul family, or the, this lineage, if that makes any sense.
All right, we're going to hold it right there. We got Samantha Mowat for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 3 continues on the Mighty SOR right after this.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together, we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're taking Sunday nights out of this world on Spaced Out Radio. This is Michael W. Hall, also known as the Paranormal Lawyer. Together, we're going to go on an exciting journey into the unknown. I'm going to bring you some of the best interviews in the paranormal and supernatural to start your new week off on a freaky note. So tune in to Spaced Out Sundays with me, Michael W. Hall, only on spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Hello everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. I appreciate all of you tuning on in. We welcome back everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, KZAX 94.9 FM in Bellingham, Washington, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, and UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, thanks to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Molluscicide. Molluscicide is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce Samantha Mowat. She is a lifelong ET contactee, and she is talking about the experiences that she has gone throughout her young years of life. And Samantha's website is samanthamowat.ca if you want to check her on out. Samantha, welcome back.
Hi, Dave. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You are very welcome, and we're appreciative to have you back here as well. Samantha, we've gone through some of the good, some of the bad, some of the ugly that you have gone through tonight. How often are you taken?
Depends on the period of time, but normally several times a month.
Do you know when it's going to happen?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes you'll feel the vibrational frequency shift above the house, either in the daytime before it happens, or sometimes you'll feel it as you're laying in bed at night reading your book, going, oh, okay, I'm going to have an encounter that night. Sometimes you'll have an inner knowing going, I'm going to have an experience. If I'm taken with my primary, or my current primary, who I'm having the good fortune to be friends with, quite often either he or I will get an impression from the beings we work with saying that we're going to be abducted that night.
Do you know which species are going to take you when you were abducted?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Quite often I can be given a bit of a hint or a clue. So if I have a telepathic message from one of them, like for instance, if it's a variety of the Greys like Phoebe, who have a very bulbous head that's divided into two sections in the back, Phoebe normally shows me the impression of him coming around a fair bit beforehand. So Phoebe will send me impressions of images of Phoebe and the connection I have to Phoebe, showing that, hey, look, I'll be visiting you soon. The humanoids tend to show up whenever they wish. The reptilians seem to come at their own discretion. The Greys, quite often I can end up seeing like an energetic, almost like, I've been trying to figure out if this is me seeing interdimensionally or if it's them coming through partially, like into this reality. But quite often with the Greys, I'll end up seeing them moving around my room a while before they end up encountering me, within an hour or two before the abduction or contact experience. And this is because they're operating just outside of this dimensional plane in the same physical location, but it'll be outside of the vibration of this universe, if that makes any sense, because they're typically operating in vibrations that are similar to our own, but not quite identical to this one. And so it's a matter of changing their vibrational frequency and shifting into this dimension through the use of things like vortexes or through the use of cloaking, stuff like that, which has been quite an eye-opener for me. Sometimes I end up noticing a lot of orbs coming around my house. In particular, let's say orange orbs, blue orbs in particular, can be an indication that contact is going to be occurring soon. Sometimes I'll see them rush by my backyard, or I'll see them running through the house and then coming back a while later. That can also be a sign that it's ET contact going to occur soon. The blue orbs I've typically seen when it comes to my reptilian contact. The yellow and more of like the orangey pinky ones can be found when it comes to other groups, ones that are more of a like collective contact. So if I'm finding like I have a contact experience where I'm having Greys and Andromedans and Arcturians and humans all in the same area, those tend to be the ones that I see with the different colored orbs coming together, is from what I've noticed. So it really depends. I'm trying to find the pattern still, and that's why I've recorded a lot of my experiences. Yes, Dave, go ahead.
I have met a lot of scientists recently who are absolutely engaged in this phenomena. And yet they've never had an experience of their own, and they would love to be able to have an experience. How is it possible to trigger or to have an experience happen?
Learn how to astral project out of your body, raise your consciousness, connect yourself to your psychic abilities. Most of these beings are psychic in nature. Most people are operating from just the left side of the brain. They're not actually accessing their intuitive mind because they've cut themselves off entirely from their intuition. It makes it very difficult for these beings to communicate with the humans, even if they do have an experience. Because the humans, it's almost like their minds are closed off. A lot of these beings do not talk with their mouth in the way in which we do. The communication they send to us is telepathic. Blocks of information, not words, not sentences. And because of that, they prefer to interact with humans that have more of their psychic gifts in place. Develop your intuition, learn how to project out of your body, and you're going to start encountering these beings. They may appear to you as human at first, but if you start talking to them, you'll start to see through the screens of what they're putting in place in front of you. A lot of these beings will project into our minds the appearance of a human in our dream time or dreamscape or dream whatever, because they're wanting to communicate with us in a way that is comfortable for us without making us overwhelmed with their true appearance. If a being is trying to talk to you while you're dreaming, they will typically give you things to really pay attention to. You might get messages to, you need to change your diet, don't drive here, you need to do this. For instance, they can warn you about car accidents or things like that, saying over and over, hey, look, we're looking at the timeline of that you're on. If you drive like this during the winter, you're going to have this car accident take place. Or, hey, look, we see this coming up for you in your future. We want you to avoid this. They will give you that information. For instance, some of the ETs I work with told me in October, hey, Sam, you're going to be breaking your phone soon. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to break my phone. It's always in a case. The one time I take my phone out of its case and I'm shoveling the driveway, and lo and behold, the thing falls out of my pocket and gets stuck. I'm like, okay, I did break my phone. Thank you for warning me. And it was the beings that I work with trying to help me avoid an event, but I didn't listen to what they were suggesting, which was to be more careful. And so that was an astral encounter with this being, and she was sitting beside me, and she was projecting into my mind the image of this lovely Asian woman, even though I know it was an ET being that was beside me. So quite often they will project into our minds a human-type appearance, but we'll have difficulty looking at them. Like, for instance, Dave, you know when you're having a dream, or you think it's a dream, and you look at the person and you can see their face and you can see their mouth move and you can kind of have a discussion with them?
Yes.
Whereas some other times you're like, try as I might, I cannot remember anything about that person's appearance or ever really remember looking at them directly, but I remember them speaking to me even though I never once saw their mouth move, even though I can't remember anything about what they look like. Ones like that are more likely to be an astral encounter where these beings are connecting to you, projecting the impression of a human body and human appearance into your consciousness, yet trying to get the message across to you in a way that's non-threatening. And that's why I make the suggestion to learn how to astral project. Because a lot of these beings are multidimensional and don't necessarily have spacecraft in a standard sense. They prefer to contact people in an astral capacity rather than a physical one quite often.
All right. So when you try and have contact, because there is a lot of people out there who would love to have this happen. Mm-hmm. And you say you got to manifest it. You got to clear your consciousness. You have to tap into your psychic ability, try to astral out of your body and into the omniverse where everybody can project who they want to be or who they want to get in contact with. It's easier said than done for a lot of people. Does it start with ET contact, or does it start with craft that are coming around that maybe picked up your signal?
It's not as likely to be craft coming around. It's more likely, for instance, most of you have actually already encountered multidimensional beings when you're astral projecting. Every single one of you projects out of your body at night anyway. You're already doing this. You're just not being conscious about where you're going or who you're interacting with. If you look at your audience and they were to stop and ask themselves, hey, have I ever had a dream that came true later? Or do I ever have things like deja vu? Or do I ever have a knowing about something that's going to happen? Chances are you receive that information in your subconscious mind when you were astral projecting through a being, whether it's a spirit guide, an angelic being, or an ET. If they're wanting to have this contact take place, it is rather simple, but you do have to gain control over your consciousness. For those of you who are not having physical encounters right now, that could actually be a bit of a good thing, because if you start having ET craft coming over top of your house and you start having these beings popping around and really popping in and out of your home, yes, it can seem all very exciting until it starts happening. I mean, Dave, think about yourself and some of your own experiences. When you've sensed beings who you weren't necessarily sure of their intentions, your first instinct was to protect your family. And so...
Very true.
And that's not, that's just being said in like the most loving way possible, mind you. But for a lot of these people, they don't necessarily realize how overwhelming it can be when you have a being suddenly finding itself like you finally seeing this being in your bedroom. even though I've had contact my entire life. When Danny showed up in my bedroom, sitting on my bed, talking to me, a vortex being behind him, and one of my children being put back after an experience beside me, because I came out of that conscious state too quickly, or that altered conscious state too quickly, it even triggered me into reacting to protect my child and to protect myself through the use of energy. So a lot of these beings don't want to come see you physically until they know who you are and what your patterns are and how you're going to react to them. They're more likely to visit you in the astral first and to become accustomed to you and have you become accustomed to them before they'll come see you on a physical capacity to any significant level.
Right. All right, let's move on to some questions from our guests tonight listening in our YouTube chat room. Geek is asking, Samantha, do you believe that most of these beings are bioengineered?
No, in my perspective, I wouldn't say bioengineered in the way in which you're most likely inferring. Geek, from my perspective, I mean, we are all just a matter of source, God, the universe, experimenting or seeing what its consciousness can be pushed to in all forms of life. Are any of us truly organic in the way that we perceive it? No, not necessarily. It's hard to see what the original forms for anything truly are. The bioengineering, yes, some of the varieties of gray are not necessarily souled creatures in the way that you and I and these other beings are. Some of them are manufactured life forms, but a lot of the ones that we are having contact with, especially the ones that are more higher vibrational, have a true soul essence and aren't necessarily created in a lab. Yes, some of the varieties of grays are, and yes, some of the forms of hybrids are as well. But it's not quite in the way that people are expecting it, or even in the way that I understand it. They don't normally go into the aspect of bioengineering with me because that is not something I ever think to ask them about when I do have contact.
All right, let's get over to Philip, who is asking, Samantha, have you ever taught someone how to make contact with success?
I would say so, yes. One thing that I've done with other people is I've taught them how to connect, for instance, with some of my psychic development groups. I do have one that I hold out of my home with people that I'm quite close to, or people that I'm friends with, or even they're like my acquaintances, but they're friends. And I've had them meet beings from Danny to Phoebe, where they've all been shown, okay, psychically, what these beings look like, what their skin is like. And I didn't tell them that they were meeting a gray, or that they're meeting an Arcturian, or that they're meeting a reptilian. I wanted for them to intuit the information that they got, and as they received information, to write down what they've received. And after everyone had met these beings, I said, don't filter anything out. Just write down every impression you get. And when these ladies were talking about the impressions they received, they pinpointed that they were receiving things about a gray, even though some did not believe in ETs until they started talking with these beings. So yes, you can connect with these beings. It's just a matter of shifting your frequency and your understanding. You do also have to get out of your head and your preconceived notions, because there's just as much diversity within their personalities and their objectives and what they're intending to do within their own groups as there is within ours. So it is quite different than what a lot of people are anticipating.
All right, follow-up from Philip, who is asking, what does vibration and frequency mean in this context? Is there a way we can measure this?
Yes, you can measure vibration and frequency. When I'm looking at vibration being emitted by things, Philip, I want for you to think of it this way. Vibration is all about the level of density being emitted by something. So if we're looking at the vibration of, say, meat, if you actually were to look at it and you were to actually look at how dense it is, how it feels. Okay, for instance, I want you to do me a favor tomorrow, Philip. I want for you to, before you eat in the morning, I want for you to do a light meditation, just a quick 2-minute meditation. Feel what your body is like. Do a quick body scan. So you're going to go and bring your attention and your awareness down to your feet. You're going to feel what your feet feel like. You're going to move your way all the way up to the top of your head. Notice where you have pain. Notice where you have tension, where it feels good, hot, cold, you name it. And then I want for you to just kind of push your attention and your awareness kind of out past your body a little bit. Out just imagine you're feeling it out past about a foot. Just because you're learning how to start recognizing how your aura feels. And once you've done that, I want for you to eat something like an orange and feel the way that your body feels after you eat the orange. Spend about 5 minutes after you're done eating, feel what your aura feels like then. And the reason why you're doing this is you're going to learn to recognize how the different foods you're eating impact the way your aura is feeling, because you're increasing your clairsentience and your empathic capabilities through recognizing the things that you're ingesting. Now, I want for you to shift after that. 20 minutes later, do yourself a favor. Have something like a stimulant. Have some coffee. Have some sugar. Have a chocolate bar. Feel how your aura feels. You're going to notice that after you have that stimulant, your body is going to feel like it's kind of shaky, like it's a little more of that inconsistent back and forth vibration. Whereas when you have fruit, it's going to feel like it's very light. It's going to feel like it's kind of like a swirling kind of feeling. And then have something really heavy a while later. Have something like steak or French fries or gravy or a very heavy kind of food. And the reason you're doing this is you're recognizing the vibration of the things as they're coming into your body. What you're ingesting is directly impacting what your aura is responding to. So for instance, if I have something like coffee, it's going to shift the vibration or the aura to being almost like more a faster vibration, but not in a good way. It's more of a sporadic fastness, like a pulsating back and forth, like it's pinging, rather than being like a higher vibrational feeling. Things like Kirlian photography are very good for showing what the aura is doing at any given time. So you could do a series of experiments where you have multiple subjects eating different foods and then recording what you see within these things like the Kirlian photography, or recognizing how they are feeling after the ingestion of various foods, as well as conducting what their psychic capabilities are after the ingestion of these different foods as well. There are a number of different ways you could conduct these experiments to determine a base or a standard and go from there. That would be my suggestion if you want to start learning the vibrational frequency of things. Also, to pay attention to, if you do things like meditation, you will, one, seldom make mistakes, but you'll also begin to notice how the energy of others, whether it's situations, emotions, or even people themselves, feel when you are in their presence or in communication with them. Learning how to recognize what your aura is doing and how you are feeling when you have these other vibrations coming around you is going to tell you a lot about the vibration being emitted by others. Have you ever noticed, Philip, that when you encounter certain people, it feels really good to spend time with them? It almost feels like they're not only easy to talk to, but you could spend all day just being near them. Those people are people whose vibrations are comfortable or compatible with your own. Whereas other people, you will find that they may not even have to say anything or do anything or give you a funny look, but you're like, oh, I really don't like spending time with that person. I don't know what it is. They're just, something about them doesn't quite feel right to me. And that's because their vibration and your vibration are not compatible. You're at different ends of the frequency spectrum. And so it's not comfortable for either party to spend time with one another. Samantha, there really are. Go ahead.
Sorry, finish up, please.
I was going to say there's a number of ways you can determine it, but go ahead, Dave.
All right, we only have about 2 minutes left with you, and I want to sneak in one more question. This one comes from Corey, who is asking, Samantha, when you talk about all these beings being around you, what do they do to you when they're around? It gives me anxiety, he says.
Oh, Corey, don't be filled with anxiety for me. It's honestly all right. It's only frustrating if I'm in the shower or something and they start talking to me, in which case I'm like, please leave me alone, not right now. But the beings that are around us, it's actually around all of us. If you think about the universe as being a book, and all the different dimensional layers are kind of stacked on top of each other, and it just depends upon what vibrations you're frequently tuned into as to who has access to you at that time. I don't feel freaked out by the majority of the beings that come to me because I realize it's just humanity is all going in this direction. In 100 years, the things that I'm going through are going to be as average as the standard person and what they're going through right now. This is just the direction that we're going towards. We are all becoming more psychic. It's just a matter of recognizing it. But Dave, because I don't want to be an adorable little goldfish, I want to just make sure that I said thank you so much for having me on, and I've really enjoyed talking to you and your audience tonight. It's honestly been a lot of fun.
Oh, always. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and I think now's a good time as we got about 35 seconds left. Tell everybody where they can find your YouTube channel and your website.
Well, if you go to YouTube and type in Samantha Mowat, you should see my channel. My guides asked me to go back to making a video every day, so I'm going to do my best to do that from tomorrow onwards, now that I no longer have bronchitis. How wonderful is that? And as you mentioned earlier, it's www.samanthamowat.ca. If you're trying to get a hold of me and you can't get a hold of me through email, try texting. I sometimes can be horrible at getting back to people, so try multiple avenues.
Well, my friend, I hope you enjoy the last of the snow here in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. And stay safe. Make sure you get your toilet paper. Because, you know, that's just, I guess we got to wish that on everybody. Happy toilet paper shopping. And go from there. But thank you so much again.
It was my pleasure. May the Easter Bunny bless your house with toilet paper and Purell this year, I guess.
I hope so, too. Samantha Mowat, everybody. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio gets to take the road home right after this.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Need that weekend supernatural fix? Look no further than Spaced Out Saturday right here at spacedoutradio.com. I'm Stacey Edwards.
And I'm John Edwards. Each Saturday night, Stacey and I are going to bring you the best in paranormal, cryptids, UFOs, you name it, and we're going there.
It's all about the experience and to share the knowledge with all of you.
So tune us in every Saturday night on Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thor, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from vans to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair with my hair looking lovely tonight, wearing it down. Want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, like rocking onto Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? And this is how it ends. Love this song. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes scary. Hey, up here in Canada, the coronavirus took a big, big hit in two ways. Number one, the NHL season was canceled. You know how heartbreaking that is when you they have shut down hockey right across this country. All right? We're going into playoffs here. Playoffs! And hockey is done. postponed by Hockey Canada. The NHL has shut down everything. Minor hockey is done. My goodness. I just got cable last week for the first time in 4 years. I figured, you know what? I want to watch some hockey playoffs this year. So I went and got cable. Thank you, coronavirus, for ruining my hockey schedule. Don't you hate it when people say schedule instead of schedule? The British. It's always the British. Canadian government officials have announced that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, has tested positive for coronavirus and will remain in isolation for the time being. They also said the Prime Minister is in good health and his wife is feeling well, showing mild symptoms. You know, I'm just going to say this. I'm not a fan politically of Justin Trudeau, but I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I really wouldn't, especially our political leaders. Let's hope that the First Lady of Canada is able to get through this very, very quickly, because they do have young children together. So hopefully that gets through very, very quick. All right, continuing on, a senior member of Japan's governing body has said the Tokyo 2020 Olympic organizers must plan for the possibility that this summer's games will be postponed or canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic, as the city's governor insisted that they would go ahead as scheduled. Shigeru Ishiba, a former defense minister who has been tipped as the country's next leader, said any decision on the game's fate should be left to the International Olympic Committee, a day after organizing committee officials suggested the Olympics could be postponed. While he said cancellation was still very unlikely, Ishiba called on Japan's government to prepare for every possibility. Not thinking about worst-case scenarios won't eliminate the risk of them materializing. The government must start thinking now about what to do in case the games are postponed or canceled, he added. His warning came as a rift appeared to be opening among Olympic officials and senior politicians in Japan, where 620 cases of COVID-19 have been recorded, along with 12 deaths, according to the health ministry. Those figures exclude nearly 700 infections, 7 deaths connected to the Diamond Princess cruise liner, which was quarantined at the Japanese port of Yokohama last month. Tokyo Governor Yuriko Koike said that the canceling of the games due to open on July 24th would be unthinkable, but added that the World Health Organization's decision to declare the outbreak a pandemic would have some impact on the event. It can't be said that the announcement of a pandemic would have no impact, but I think cancellation is unthinkable, he says, without explaining how the pandemic classification might affect the Olympics. This one's going to be very, very interesting to see, especially as every major sport has literally shut its doors. Let's just hope that they get control of this very, very quickly. A Canadian band has set a Guinness World Record when they ventured 6,213 feet below sea level to play a 50-minute concert. Guinness educator Caitlin Vesper was on hand March 7th, deep inside Vale's Creighton Mine in Greater Sudbury, Ontario, to witness the concert played by the Shaft Bottom Boys. Working for Guinness World Records, I get to meet a lot of very interesting people and travel to some interesting places, but can confirm I haven't been anywhere as interesting as Creighton Mine or been this far below sea level before, Vesper said while handing the group their official certificate. The Shaft Bottom Boys were awarded their record for the world's deepest concert underground with a depth of 6,213 feet and 3.05 inches below sea level. The concert and record attempt were a joint fundraising effort between Vale and Science North. Organizers said the event raised funds for Science North summer camps and charity Miners for Cancer. Good job, guys. Good job. Here's a scary one. A federal judge has ordered the release of former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning just one day after she attempted to take her own life while in prison. Manning has been in jail since May in Alexandria, Virginia, for refusing to testify before a grand jury investigating WikiLeaks. She told a judge in May that she'd rather starve to death than comply with the subpoena. The U.S. District Judge Anthony Trenga ordered Manning's release after prosecutors said the grand jury had been disbanded. Trenga did, however, leave $256,000 in fines that were levied against Manning in place for her refusal to provide testimony to the grand jury. There was a hearing scheduled for Friday, but it has since been canceled. Manning's team argued that she had shown she couldn't be coerced into testifying and should be released. In 2019, a letter to the judge, Manning called the grand jury probe an effort to frighten journalists and publishers who serve a public good. Manning was found guilty of espionage and theft in 2013 and was sentenced to 35 years in prison after she leaked classified documents to WikiLeaks. U.S. officials claim the website's founder, Julian Assange, worked in tandem with Manning to break into a classified government computer and leak information related to U.S. war and diplomacy efforts. Then President Obama commuted her sentence in 2017, and she was released from prison after 7 years. Here's a cool story. Some smells automatically bring a smile to our faces, like puppy's breath, new cars, the aroma of fresh-baked cookies. For moms, it's the scent of their babies. Research shows moms find the smell of their bundle and joy irresistible, while babies find their mom's odor unique. One more way to nurture, and nature strengthens a bond that assures survival of the species. In fact, 90% of new moms can pick out their baby by smell within 10 minutes to an hour after birth. But do we continue to like the smell of our children as they age? Not so much, a new study finds, especially when those children are teenagers in or past puberty. This has something to do with the change of composition of the infantile sweat due to the increased release of sexual hormones, said Professor Ilona Croy, who studies the sense of smell at Dresden University of Technology in Germany. It is possible that all women are evolutionarily wired to respond favorably to a new baby smell. A 2013 study found that the reward center of the brain lit up in a small group of new moms and women who had never given birth when they smelled pajamas that newborn infants had worn for 2 nights. The PJs had been frozen and were presented to the women some 6 weeks later. None of the women were related to the babies. Of course, the bonding benefits are not available to parents who cannot smell, either due to physical or psychological issues. You know, I love studies like that because I love being a dad. I really love being a dad. But you know what? A lot of those studies, too, I could pick out my kid from a mile away. I remember totally hearing my daughter crying as an infant. And I was on one end of Walmart, and my ex-wife and my daughter were on the other end, and I knew I had to get over there because I heard my baby girl crying. Heard her. Had to do it. I'd like to see some studies with men and babies. That'd be nice. It really would. Anyways, let's move on. Terrifying video shows that a moment a Colorado deputy fights off a wild mountain lion with her bare hands. Oh, this is one tough cop. Wednesday afternoon, a female Larimer County Sheriff's Office deputy was attacked by a mountain lion crouched underneath a trailer in Loveland. Officers were called to the scene around 1:50 p.m. when the lion pounced on a civilian and a sheriff's deputy on the 2100 block of River Rim Road. Video from the confrontation, because it's more important to shoot the video than it is to help. Yeah. Well, it shows the deputy on the ground and the lion aggressively jumps on top of her, leading officers to shoot the animal. Right? Never mind the deputy's safety. Oh, these photos are frightening. In the clip, the deputy pushes the lion off her and puts her arms out to swipe its snout away from her face. A nearby officer kicks the cat in the butt, leading it to scamper away. Officers then shot at the lion as it ran off to the nearby river. A witness said the deputy is lucky to be alive. Resident Gregory Scott Paul said he came out of his home when he heard police sirens, and then he saw the lion and the deputy go head-to-head. It started creeping towards them a little bit, and they took 3 or 4 shots at it. Apparently, these police were formerly, working for Darth Vader because they couldn't hit anything. He pointed to the bullet hole in the trailer septic tank in the line of gunfire. Yeah, well, the cougar got away. The cop is okay. Moving on. Have you ever been close to a wild cougar? Seriously. Have you ever been close to one? They are freaky. I got growled at one in my backyard about a year and a half ago. Yeah. I went out during one of the breaks. Thank goodness I didn't take my dogs outside. I just wanted to see the stars because there were supposed to be like shooting stars or a meteorite or something like that. Meteor flying by or comet or something. And anyways, no, pardon me, I was checking to see if the northern lights were out. Anyways, long story short, I literally get growled at by a cougar, like 40 feet in my backyard. All of a sudden, grrr. I was like, okay, I'm going in. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's not fun. An Australian woman says she received a shock of her life when a snake slithered out of a bag of potatoes that she had just bought at the grocery store. Marissa Davison said she bought the sealed bag of potatoes from the Woolworths Park Beach Plaza. Davis said she opened up the bag in her kitchen and was removing potatoes when the snake slithered out of the bag. Anyways, she said she threw a laundry basket over the snake because of course, it's. Why would you throw a laundry basket over there? Was it a wicker one? It better have been wicker because if you haven't noticed, most laundry baskets have big holes in them. Anyways, she did that after the snake started to move towards her 5-year-old son who has a congenital heart defect. Davis ended up killing the snake, which was identified by experts as a mildly venomous marsh snake. Woolworths said in a response to Davidson's Facebook post that the incident is under investigation. And finally tonight, this is one brazen Florida cow. Police in Florida are asking for the public's help in tracking down a cow that has evaded capture since January due to its surprising speed and amazing fence-jumping skills. The Pembroke Pines Police Department says on social media that the cow has been spotted in the area near Sheridan Street and Interstate 75 multiple times over the course of the last couple of months. It has managed to evade capture by both our officers and assisting cow herders since January due to its surprising speed and its ability to jump over fences. The post included a photo of the cow stylized as a wanted poster. While the cow itself doesn't present a threat to the public, it has been known to enter roadways where it endangers itself and surrounding motorists, the department said. Police say they still don't know where the cow came from, and its owner has not been identified. What an amazing cow. Let's get to it. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Yes, we do. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. Now that the NHL season has been postponed, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do? This is like a bloodline for me. Well, anyways, Canadian Joe on Twitter says you can go on more Bigfoot expeditions with your buddy Bazooka Joe. Eric, get your butt off the couch and get some exercise. That's probably what I'm going to have to do. Christopher, Xbox hockey. I don't have an Xbox. Not a big video game fan. Benjamin, alien games have begun. Hashtag bug out kit. Joe, do your live show from space with our Keith Andrews. Spooky. Candlelight vigil followed by all-out war against COVID-19 because it has messed with your national pastime, and this just can't be allowed. Oh, yeah, the gloves are off. Gloves are off. Steven, why not watch the Kardashians? Oh, hell no. What do you take me for? What do you take me for? Thought you liked me. Anyways, moving on. Renee, knit, or go listen to SOR and knit. Or even better, go watch replays of hockey. You know what I'm going to need for my fix? I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to watch a bunch of hockey fights. That's what I'm going to do. You know, that's what I'm going to have to do. Gabe, it gets worse. No more football or basketball anymore. 2020 has got to be the worst thing that has happened to the world since the plague. Jeff, every sports league has been suspended. PGA tournament is the only thing going on this weekend. Alex, ice dancing and curling? No, Alex. Curling I could do. Actually, ice dancing is pretty damn cool. If you ever get a chance to actually watch ice dancing live, it is actually pretty cool. David, do some martial arts training. Dude, have you seen the double chin I have? Come on. I can barely kick my leg up, a foot. Evan, Premier League isn't canceled yet. Watch that. Are you kidding me? That's soccer, Evan. I like my life. Okay? I like my life. Soccer free. Chris, how about live life? I do that every day. Dorothy, go look for Bigfoot. Well, there's a possibility there. Nick, read some books. I suggest the following for a short delay in hockey. Charlie Red Star by Grant Cameron. For a long delay, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. Or play some tabletop RPGs. All right. Kevin, take that shower you've been putting off. You don't see Megan, you don't see her. I don't get that. Michael, cut firewood. My firewood's already cut. Kelly, make a Mission Impossible style robbery of Everett Thiemer's Les Paul vault. Oh, Everett's then responded and said, I moved him out of the vault so I could fill it with toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Oh my goodness, where are the Les Pauls? This is what we need to figure out. John, prepare for NHL or NFL free agency in the draft. That seems pretty logical. Scott wants me to read. Rob and Roll says, bring out the Atari 2600. Pac-Man needs to come out of retirement. Oh, I wish. Rich Giordano, hunt for Bigfoot. It is your destiny to find your heritage. Oh, you are a jerk, Rich. You are a complete jerk. Rich tends to think because I have nice hair, way nicer hair than him, that I am part Bigfoot. I am not part Bigfoot. I am not going to put that rumor out there. We're not going to start that rumor. I am not part Bigfoot. No. Melinda gets a final say. Watch all of Lori and Fenton's UFOCon speakers videos. Soon to be posted. 22 videos will take some time. Yeah, but I don't watch myself, and I'm like on 4 of them. 4 of them. I'm not doing that. I have to look at myself in the mirror every day. That's hard enough. Hard enough. Anyways, what am I going to be doing? I'm going to concentrate on making this whole thing a little bit better. I'm actually quite busy. So you don't have to worry about me. I'll get my hockey fix. Worst case scenario, what I'll do is I'll put a stick in my kid's hand. I mean, he's 6. He's big enough to take it. And I'll just hammer him into one of the walls down the hallway. And when he gets down and he starts crying after taking a cross check to the shoulder or the back, I'll just remind him, hey, son, this is hockey. This is who you're meant to be. There's no crying in hockey. And that's the way we'll do it. Want to thank everybody for taking part in today's Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again on Facebook and Twitter tomorrow. Big thank you to Captain Shirk for the SOR Newswire. Yeah, we're going to have some fun with Captain because she made me laugh tonight. Thank you, Captain. And, you can find all of our news at spacedoutradio.com. Just check on the Newswire. And to Samantha Mowat for coming on, talking about her ET Life of Contact. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Special thanks to everybody in our chat rooms on LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, our SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and all you beautiful people watching live on YouTube. We always appreciate that. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Let's finish off the week strong talking UFOs. We will see you tomorrow night. Have a great one. Good night.